The world is filled with drum samples. Every sound you hear has a potential of evolving into a drum, it just doesn't know it yet. Today we're going to look into ways of transforming everyday sounds into unique drum samples with stock plugins. The obvious way of finding new sounds would be going outside and recording them, but as we know, producers don't really do that. Don't worry though, there is a workaround. Car reviews, cabin building, watchmaking, cooking, all these types of videos contain amazing sounds that are waiting to unlock their full potential as your next drum samples. Here's what I'm going to use. I want to start off with transmitter, but you can also use the transient processor to do this. Let's switch off the transient effects and get rid of the sustain completely so that we're left with the transients and no background noise. Now set the sensitivity knob to a level where all the transient heavy sounds are still coming through. You can increase the hold and release knobs while you're at it. Now I'm going to use the combination of a frequency shifter, a multi-band delay and an EQ. Now what we want to do is set the frequency shifter mode to 20 kHz and start turning the frequency down until we hear punchy kick adjacent sounds. Now boost the low frequencies in the EQ. The next step is to set up the multi-band delay to steep filter mode and choose the land drumming option. At this point it's a good idea to open up Edison and start recording. I recommend putting a limiter before the Edison since it could get extremely loud at times. Now I'm going to choose different bands, experiment with the feedback and scale parameters while recording everything. There is no exact recipe here, treat it like a fun sound design session. You can change the EQ and try out different frequencies. The most crucial takeaway here is not to focus on one specific sound. Recording long sessions, experimenting with different settings and seeing what sounds come out of interactions between parameters and plugins is what usually achieves great unique results. Now let's scan through the recording and find kicks. Highlight the sections, fade out and normalize if needed, and export them to the playlist. For the snare, let's load the sample into Granulizer. Random all the way up, of course. No attack, a bit of hold. Now in the envelope settings, let's do no attack and a bit of hold to get these short snappy fragments of sound. Now let's load up transmitter, but this time we'll use the saturation on the transients and switch the sustain off. Bump up the warmth and the drive settings. Now let's add an EQ and give the 200 Hz frequency a boost to make the snare sound fuller and a bit of the highs for the presence. Now let's start recording in Edison while changing the grain and wave spacing settings on the Granulizer. Now pick the coolest sounding parts and export them. For the hats, I'm going to start by filtering the low end and boosting the highs. In the transmitter, I'll get rid of the sustain, and in the transient menu, choose the saturation option. I want to increase the tilt, which will add a high end to the transients, as well as the warmth and the drive parameters. Again, multi-band delay. Focus on the high frequency bands and record everything. Let's look for the hats in the recording. Now with all these new drum sounds, it'd be a good idea to make a beat. And that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.